Okay. So I hope you have installed the remaining two microgames as well, the rest of you. So let us start with this karting microgame. Open that. Okay, it seems it's already open. That's okay. Let's see. Cancel it. Yeah. So again, go to the menu, tutorials, and click show tutorials. Let's start with the first one. So basically in this you will playtest the start you will playtest the start of the karting microgame, review the Unity editor interface, and make the player's kart go faster. Many of the things will be quite similar to the previous microgame that we saw, but there will be a few different things. Anyway, I'm covering it again so that you will just get used to the interface, and also for the new people this will be helpful. Yeah, so enter the play mode by clicking this button. When you click this button, this view will change from scene view to game view. Okay, so click the play button. Yeah, so all you need to do is press the right, up, left and back arrows. You just need to cross all the checkpoints. Okay, so once you are done, exit the play mode. And now what we will do, we will increase the speed of this kart. We'll make it go a bit faster. So this is the hierarchy window, like I said yesterday, and here you see Kart Classic. So when you click on this, here you will see the inspector panel. In this, each sub component, each sub panel is called a component, and within each component you have properties. So in the rigid body property, actually it's in the base stats. In the arcade kart component, you have base stats. So you should click on the base stats, and here you will see a property called top speed. Okay, so increase it to any number, say make it 20. Okay, and press next. But before you test it, you have to save it. All right, so press Ctrl S or Command S, save it, and then click the play button. Now let's see if there is a difference in the speed. It seems to be going a little fast. Probably we'll increase the speed further and then see again. So let me stop. Let me say increase the speed to 30 so that it's easy to see the difference. I'll save it, Ctrl S, and play again. Yeah, I hope you see the difference. Okay, so next let's move on to the next tutorial. here you will use the hand tool, zoom in and out, and discover the project window. We saw this in the last class, but for those who are new, so you can select the hand tool in this panel, and if you with the hand tool you can sort of pan the scene. You can click and drag the scene to look at different parts of the scene. Okay, so this entire scene is created in some portion of the coordinate plane. So you can imagine the coordinate plane to be very big, of which some portion you have used to create the scene. Okay, so you can see the entire thing, and if you want to zoom also, zoom in or out, you can do that. So that will be shown in the next step. Yeah, so with the hand tool selected, if you hold down Alt in Windows or Option in Mac, and if you click and drag the scene, you will be able to orbit around that. So I am holding Option key in Mac, and I am moving around. Okay, so basically you are able to rotate around an axis. Imagine your camera is here, you are able to rotate the scene around this axis. Okay, and zoom in or out, same thing with holding Option key in Mac and Alt key in Windows. If you click the right mouse button and move the mouse up or down, you will be able to zoom in or out. Other simpler thing is you just scroll your mouse, use the scroll wheel or the trackpad. Okay, so now you see the entire scene is created in this area. The coordinate plane is much larger. You have chosen some area and you have created the entire scene there. So this will help you get an idea of the entire view of the game. All right, and you can zoom in or zoom out as much as you want. So this is like invisible lightings and all that we'll see later, but the camera is actually placed here. So let me actually rotate it. Okay, so now if you notice, you see this tetrahedron, this is like the camera view. This is like the bounding box for the camera. So whatever is there inside this tetrahedron, that will be visible in your view. So where the camera is looking, that is sort of being revealed by this thing. Okay, so the camera is placed here and its view is within this. So if you place anything outside this view, that will not be visible inside the camera. And if you want to look at how the camera view is, okay, it's not letting me click. Let me see if I can close this. So if you select the main camera component here, you see what the camera is seeing is coming here. So let me reduce this size, increase this. So whatever the camera is viewing, that is coming here. All right. If you make the camera point somewhere else, or if you place a new object in this view, you will see that here. Okay. If you move the camera around, or if you move the object around, or if you reduce those boundaries, then this view will also change. Okay. So this is what the camera is seeing. All right. So let's go back. So we saw the zoom, we saw the hand tool, and so using hand tool you can drag the scene left or right or up or down. Okay, and then using Option key and holding the mouse button and moving the mouse around, you can orbit around an axis. Okay, and again holding the option key and clicking the right button and moving the mouse around, you can zoom in or out, or just use the scroll bar. Okay, scroll wheel. And yeah, and this is called the project window, where all the files, this is like a folder view where all the assets of your project are actually stored. So this player is an asset, the cart on which the player is sitting, that is an asset, these trees are assets, the small hills are assets, this road is an asset, all these things are assets. All these things need to be created from some material or objects. Maybe you need to use spheres or cubes or cuboids or planes. So all these are assets which you will use to create this entire environment, and you also need to sort of wrap some material around them to give them a finish, either a wooden finish or metallic finish or road kind of finish. Whatever that finish is, materials are also stored, or you can access materials also from here. All right, and yeah, so the project window is where you can find all the files used in your Unity project. Assets are the files that make up your project, such as prefab game objects, textures, and audio. Game objects are all the ones which are listed here in the hierarchy panel. So this top panel, top left panel, this is called hierarchy panel, and all the things which are listed here, they are called game objects. So every object in your game is called a game object. The player, the card, the trees, every object is a game object. You can change its properties. You can select that object, like what did we do earlier? We selected the player's card and its properties popped up on the right, and we changed its property like speed. There are many other properties, we changed one property. So when you select a game object, all its properties come on the right. Okay, and in case you want to add a new object, you can drag from this folder, any folder below, and there are some objects called prefab game objects. What do we mean by that? Prefab game objects means they are prefabricated. They come, or either you have downloaded them from somewhere or you have built them from somewhere and you have imported them to Unity. And once you sort of fix their properties, you import them into your scene. If you want one more player, you import it into your scene. If you want to add one more tree, you import it into your scene. So these are all readily available with you as prefab objects. So how to access them? So here you have assets, packages. Okay, why is it not taking? Okay, it's saying select next. I don't know why it's not taking my mouse click. Okay, it is just saying that this is a window. It is not asking us to select anything. That's why it's not letting me select anything. It's just saying this project window is there, and from here you can select objects. I think in one of the next tutorials it will allow you to do that. Yeah. So yeah, in the next tutorial you will find how to change the colors of game object. So let's move on to the next tutorial. Yeah, so make your game more colorful. You can use materials to change the colors of game objects. In this tutorial, you will change the color of the player's card. So let's start. So again, so now we need to select the game object card from the hierarchy. So once you click that, you will see a panel here. Okay, but before that, if you want to zoom in on the object whose properties you want to change or whose color you want to change, once you have selected the object, you just need to press the F key so that you will sort of zoom in on the object. Okay, now you get a better view of the object, right? So now what are they saying? You can find materials in the assets folder of the project window in the art folder. Select the cart body game object select the cart body material in the project window. So in assets, in packages, suppose you are unable to find a particular folder here. A simple way is just click all materials. If you want to look for material, click all materials. If you want to look for prefab, click all prefab or all models and so on. So I clicked all materials. In this, I should find this cart body material. Okay, they are anyway sorted alphabetically. So I just need to go to cart body. Yeah, here you see. Okay, so once you click this, you can change the color. All right, so click on this color bar and change it to any color. So you can stop here. First you need to select over the color wheel, and once you stop at some color, now you can select further shade within this square. Okay, you can have this color or this color or this color. Okay, suppose I'll leave it at this color. Okay, so I'll close it. I am done selecting the color. Now I save it. Okay, and go to next. That's it. Now you save it and press the play button, and you see you play the game with a different colored cart, right? So the cart's color has changed. Okay, yeah, you can also move back, left, right, whatever it is. You can test it around any way you want. Okay, so I'll just stop, come out of the play mode, and let's add a jump. Next tutorial is to add a jump. So how do we do that? So we basically add a ramp in the path of the cart so that it goes over this ramp and jumps. Okay, so how to do that? Drag jump ramp prefab to the scene. All right, so we need to go to prefabs. If you are unable, here we can see the prefab folder. If you are unable to find this folder, you can just select all prefabs and you will find the prefab there. So in this case, I will go through the folder view, and so where is this? Not this. You see, track pieces are also prefabs, like portions of the road. So you have straight portions, you have curved portions. So using these portions, you create the road, right? So you have everything in prefabs. You need to sort of keep ready all the material you need to build your scene. All right. So where do you get this material from? Either you create it on your own using softwares like Blender, etc., or you download existing models created by someone into your scene. Okay. The entire tracks are also given as prefabs. So either you can use the existing prefab tracks, or you can create your own track using the track pieces. So I'm not finding that prefab through the folder. So simple thing is just use all prefabs button and look for jump ramp. Yeah, so this one. All right, so just drag it into the scene. Okay, now move it around to place it where you want. Use the move tool to move it properly. Okay, I moved it to where I want, and then press next. Rotate and scale. So this is not very clear to me exactly how it is looking. So let me zoom in on that. Okay, I pressed F key and I zoomed in on that, but still this is not clear. So let me change the angle. I want to change the angle of the scene, not the tool. So how do we change the angle of the scene? Rotate. How do we rotate the scene view itself? No. If you scroll, it will zoom in or out. Right click and that's all. Okay. Fine. That is sort of rotating around my center, but I want to move it like this. You see? So this is like Alt click and move. If you just do right click and rotate, it will move around the axis. But if you do Alt click and rotate, it will orbit around the scene. Okay, so this is how the ramp is. All right, now let us assume this is the correct position. Okay, now let us click save. Okay, and okay, this is not letting me play. This is asking me to rotate or scale right now. Yeah, assuming we are happy with the current position, let's click play. You see, it's not jumping over the ramp. Why? Because it is at a height. So we need to reduce that height, right? So we need to reposition it. So let's come out of the play mode. Now let us reduce its height. So it is already in the move mode. Okay, you are already using move tool. So just push it down. Sorry. Okay, this move tool has selected the track. We should select the ramp. Now I selected the ramp. I just need to move it down. Okay, that's it. Now it is easy for the player to go over the ramp. All right, so let us save it and test it again. All right, so yeah, so you can place any number of ramps as you want at any distance, whatever. All right. So let me clarify. Earlier, I think I said the reverse way. If you hold Alt or Option key and your left mouse button, and if you, okay, first let me come out of the play mode. If you hold your Alt key or Option key and hold the left mouse button and move around, I said it will stay where it is and the scene will rotate. Actually, that is not correct. The scene will be wherever it is. Your camera will rotate. Imagine your camera is placed on a sphere, okay, and you want your camera to move. All right, the scene is at the center, your camera is on the sphere. Now you want the camera to move. In that case, you hold Alt or Option key and click the left mouse button and move around. But the other case is, imagine your camera is at the center and you want the scene to move. Assume the scene is on the sphere. So you want the sphere to rotate in this case also, but in this case your camera is at the center. In that case, hold right click and move around. Okay, so if I hold right click and move around, you see the camera is at the center, the scene is moving. All right, but if I hold Alt or Option key and move around, the camera is moving. This jump ramp is at the center, the camera is moving around it. Okay, but if I hold right click and move, then right click and move around, the camera is at the center, the entire scene is moving. Got it? So these two are the different kinds of rotations. So if you want your camera to be at the center and the scene to move, you hold right click and move. If you want the scene to be at the center and the camera to move around the scene, imagine orbiting. Your camera is orbiting the scene. In that case, hold alt key and left click and move around. Okay, so these two are the differences. All right. Sometimes I get confused because sometimes it behaves differently. Sometimes with right click it behaves like an orbiting action. Sometimes with right click it behaves like the rotating action. So I'm not sure if it is consistent. That's why I think there is some confusion, or we need to test multiple times. So far this is the difference. Let us see at least if it follows this difference consistently. Okay. Yeah. Another thing which I wanted to mention is regarding prefabs. You see, first let me click done. Yeah, anyway, the next tutorial is just building and publishing, so I'll not get into that. We are not doing that right now. You just test within Unity whatever you're doing. Build and publish later when you make something proper. So prefab, like I said, they are prefabricated assets which come with some properties. All right. Now, one is you can import those prefabs into your scene. Like suppose, like what did we do? We imported jump ramp. It is a prefab. It has some properties, some color, some curvature, some material, all those things. It came with that and we imported it. Now say we can import multiple such jump ramps, or you just consider a tree like this. Okay, so let me select the tree, and now you see in the left hierarchy this section got this branch got expanded, right? So this particular tree you have selected, that's why this branch got expanded, and it is also showing which tree you selected in the hierarchy panel. Okay, if you select a different tree, it is somewhere else in the scene, so you can go to the tree by pressing F. All right, or you select this tree and this hierarchy panel will also change. This is this tree box. All right, so these are all different instances of a prefab. All right, so you can create more and more instances of a prefab by just dragging the prefab from the project window into your scene. That is one use of prefab. The other use of prefab is, now you see there are many instances of trees and many instances of tree boxes, right? Suppose I want to change the properties of all these trees at once, right? I don't want to change the property of this particular tree or that particular tree. If I want to change the properties of all these trees at once, then what do I need to do? I need to select that particular prefab in the prefab window and change its properties. Okay, so this is saying tree round, right? So tree round is a prefab. So let me search for tree round in the prefab. Okay, tree round. Okay, now you see you are getting an inspector panel here also. When you are selecting a prefab also, you are getting an inspector panel. So if you change the properties here, all the trees instances in the scene will change. So let me say, let me change the color. How to change the color? I think color is not here with this. Let me change the component here itself, the scale. Let me increase X to say 10 and Y to 10. Okay. Now let's save it and let's reload it. Now you see You see the size of trees? Yeah. You see the size of trees? They're all much bigger now. Right? Earlier they were smaller. Now they're all much bigger. All the trees have changed. Okay? But suppose I don't want to change all the trees. I want to change this particular tree or that particular tree. Then you select that particular tree from the hierarchy panel and change its properties here. Okay? So you can change the properties of individual instance of a prefab, or you can change the properties of all instances by changing the properties of the prefab itself. Okay? So that is the use of prefab. So prefab, you can think of it like a class, and these instances are like objects of that class. So you can change the properties of the entire class or individual objects. Okay? So that is one thing. And also there is something else which I mentioned in the previous lecture. Each of these have a script. Alright? Everything that you see, almost most of them, particularly which have actions or animations. So if you select the cart, alright, you get this properties panel on the right, inspector panel on the right. So you can check its script by, you select any component here, okay, like cart player animator script or keyboard input script. You click on the three dots and you select edit script. Okay, so you see you're getting this entire script that controls your particular object, its position, its animation, or whatever it is. You can select different things. Say here also there is a script, keyboard input script. Again you can say edit script, and you will see the script that will take your keystrokes and act accordingly, right? So your entire game is basically running on scripts. There are a lot of scripts behind. It's not only the front end or the interface that is running your game. There are a lot of scripts behind, and some things you can control through the interface, but everything you can control with the scripts. Okay, so later we will get into C# scripting, because to build any decent game you have to script. You can't build entire game or decent game through user interface itself. Okay, so that's the difference. Now another thing, you see there are so many sort of access the moment you select this cart player, cart classic player. Why? Because there are multiple objects that are grouped together into this one object. So right now when you try to move it around, this entire group moves, okay, right? But actually what is this group? You see here there is a small arrow, click on this arrow. This is a group of multiple objects, okay? So you can move each of these separately, like I can move the wheels separately. You see the wheels have come out, and I can move this capsule separately, bouncing capsule, and I can move wheel colliders separately. I can move, again within cart visual there is cart and there is player, alright. I can move the player separately, right? So all these objects are actually grouped into one, so that when you move, all of them move together, alright. So later you need to you will learn how to group objects also, right? Because you want to perform animations on all of them together. And now you can change individual properties. You can change this player's color, or you can change this cart's color, or the wheel's color, or their properties, or their size, and all those things. You can do all these things as you want. So this is a hierarchy of objects. Every object you see, sometimes it is an individual object, or sometimes it is a group of objects. If you want to go to the sub objects, you click on this arrow, go to the sub objects. Alright. So that's what we are doing. Fine. Okay, so now so now you spend some time on changing some properties, or adding some tracks, adding some trees, or changing their color or size, or changing the properties of some prefab or material. Another thing, you see, say when I select the player, okay, in this case it is not showing, it's a different. All right, yeah, so when I select template character, you see earlier in the previous game, yesterday, we directly selected the player, and then we got an option to change the color of the player. All right, but here there is no direct color itself, there is a material which we are using for the player. So you need to select this material, and then you can change the color. All right, so usually where do you get when do you use material? It is like say, I mean, you can use material for every object. Say when you have a road track, there you need to select a material of how the road should look. So material is basically the surface, right? So whenever you want to add a surface, you will use materials. So materials are for any arbitrarily shaped objects. Okay, but if you have a basic geometric object, that object itself can be given a color. But if it is not a basic geometric object, it is a arbitrarily shaped object, you cannot select that object, right? You directly overlay some material over that, and you give color to the material, not the object itself. So sometimes the object itself will have a color which you can change. Sometimes you need to provide a material to the object, and if you want to change the color, you need to change the color of the material. So that's what we did earlier for the cart also, and that's what we can do right now for the player also. We are not directly changing the color of the player, we are changing the color of the material of the player. Okay, so I mean, right now you don't worry if you don't understand some things, because we are still not building a game in a full-fledged manner, because we need to actually get into scripting. I am just introducing you to Unity interface and some of these things, so that you will understand the concepts behind a game building, and you will understand why we need to get into scripting, and when we are doing scripting, what is happening. Like when we speak of camera, or when we speak of lighting in the scripting, you need to understand what do we mean by camera, or what do we mean by lighting, how to place lighting, how to imagine camera, how to imagine lighting. Those things you need to understand. So for that, I am just introducing the interface to you beforehand. Okay, so that is the idea. So check some things, check some prefabs, some different kinds of prefabs or different kinds of materials. Try to change the material of objects, or colors of objects, or sizes of objects, individual objects and prefabs, or try to move the camera around. Try to see what comes into your scene, what does not come into your scene, all these things. So just play around for some time, and get a feel of it. Okay. So I'll stop recording for now.